You are listening to How to Get Over Your Ex, episode number 279, when it feels like you don't matter to the person who matters most to you. Welcome to How to Get Over Your Ex, a podcast on getting over your ex without it just taking time. I'm your host, Breakup Coach Dorothy. Let's turn your pain into power and your heartbreak into happy. Hello, 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 beautiful brave hearts. How are you doing? Happy Monday. We are almost complete with February. I think it's going to be the last Monday of the month when this airs. I am so excited for today's episode. This is another live coaching session that took place the week of the 5-day training. And this individual got coached on a couple of things, but the main takeaway to listen for in this is that you are important. You as a human being matters. You are appreciated, and you are a significant loss, even when you don't feel like it. And I say all of this knowing what it feels like when it feels like you don't matter to the person that matters most to you in this world. When the person that mattered most to you in this world seems to not care that you're gone, that is a very dark, difficult place to live in, and you're not alone in that world. So in today's coaching call, you're going to witness a beautiful, badass Braveheart in her vulnerability, sharing the struggles she's facing during this time and what she's doing to overcome them, and eventually where we land in feeling appreciated. So without further ado, here we go, my Bravehearts. I love you, and I'll talk to you next time. How are you
Yay!
doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Good. I'm so happy to meet you.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, first of all, let me just say your stuff has been absolutely amazing. I've been, listening to your podcast. I've been dealing with this for far too long, but yes, your podcast has, helped so much.
Oh, I'm so grateful. That means the world to me. You guys have no idea. I started that podcast being like, if I can help one person, it will be worth it. And here
Yes.
we are, years later, and I'm like, I think we helped at least one person, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, let's dive in. Tell me, what can I help you with today?
Yeah, so it's actually very timely because yesterday, a good chunk of yesterday, I was having a lot of angry emotions
Okay.
towards my ex about like the way that he, treated me. And, I mean, it was a whole complicated situation, breakup turned situationship, turned like, just messy, whatever, right? And,
Okay.
like I'll say that like he did step up in like individual ways, but then sort of like zooming out at the end of the day, I think a recurring pattern was that, if other people were in the picture, right, like, friends or whatever, then it's like they always came first, or like he was able to do stuff for them that he was unwilling to do for me. And that like that kept coming up a lot. And so
Yeah.
I felt a lot of resentment about, how could he, like how could he treat other people so much better than me? And then I guess the other thing was, how can he sort of get away with this scot free? And I know I've listened to your episode on the breakup police or whatever, but like, it just wasn't sticking. I was very much in a vengeful place of no, I want him to suffer, and I want him to suffer my loss, not in the context of someone else. I want him
Yeah.
to suffer for having lost me and having, fumbled me. And
Yeah.
right now he's been distancing, like he hasn't initiated any contact. And so, the feeling like, and the thing is that like, I've heard, because the reason that I really want coaching is that, I've heard this podcast. It's like, oh, okay, well, you need to say like, I choose myself, and all that stuff. But it's falling flat. It's just like not,
Mhm.
it's not, it doesn't scratch the same itch of like, especially like if he was treated everyone that way, then it's like, okay, fine, but like he's able to do XYZ for other people but not me. And and because I have had other people who treat me well, it's like I know it's not like a self-worth thing, like the other coaches like, oh, you just have low self-worth. I feel like that ends up being too reductive. It's like, no, I know I'm worth more, but I still can't move past the fact that like he didn't treat me that way, but especially since he was able to treat other people that way. And
Mhm.
then also feeling like, oh, like I was ranting to ChatGPT, and I was saying, oh, well, he's he's better off for not having been able to, because ChatGPT is like, oh, well, you can love deeply, you can feel. And I'm like, fuck that. I wish I couldn't. I would be much better off if I could be as emotionless as him and just coast through life and receive other people's initiatives, other people's, and then, have the power to just like, toss them aside and not be affected, and so, yeah.
Yeah. So hold on one second. I'm writing something down.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So my first kind of reaction based off of what you just shared is the first question that I want to talk about is, do you feel like being angry is hurting him in any way, shape, or form?
I know logically that it's not.
Yeah. So I guess what's the point of being angry?
I mean, especially in the context of the past, maybe now it's a little less relevant because he is distancing too. But I think definitely in the past, when we did interact, anger was definitely something I needed to hold on to in order to even have the motivation to set, certain boundaries around how I want to be treated.
Yeah. It gave me a stance, right? It showed me
Yeah,
what I was available for and what I wasn't available for.
yeah,
Okay. So now that we know that, now that we know like I'm not available for that kind of information or that kind of treatment, who,
yeah.
like, I guess my next question is, who do you want to be when people don't treat you the way that you know you're worth being treated?
The kind of person who can walk away from that unfazed.
Ooh, that's very different than your current experience, right?
It is. And I think part of it is the feeling that, I mean, and sure, maybe this might be quote unquote irrational, but I also want it to have an impact when I walk away. I don't want it to be like, oh, me walking away doesn't matter, that my loss isn't relevant, isn't
Mhm.
important, that people can take it or leave it when it comes to me. I want to feel significant enough that, losing me is a loss.
Yeah. So do you feel significant right now?
Um, I don't know, like kind of. I mean, I think part of the trouble is also just like locally in general, like it doesn't feel like I'm that significant to many people. I mean, it's like, I have my mom, I have like friends from before, but they're all scattered across the country. So when it comes
Yeah.
down to it, when push comes to shove in terms of like local connections.
Yeah. Girl, we are here for it. We understand. We completely understand. We've absolutely been there. So I think that's where the work is. The reason you want justice so badly is you think that the justice, or you think him hurting, or you think him saying something or being hurt or upset is going to make you feel significant. But what we've learned over the past 4 or 5 days is that's not the case. Your circumstances could change. He could be like, "Oh my gosh, saying all the right things." But if the outcome doesn't change either, then it's like I still don't feel significant. Why? Because I haven't changed my beliefs about myself that make me feel significant to myself.
Yeah, I guess the struggle is, it's like, so, I listen to that, right? And, the podcast or like other content or whatever, right? But
Mhm.
like, it just, and, I hear the whole like, oh, you shouldn't rely on external validation feel, but like, I don't know. It just, at some point it just does feel like it falls flat. It feels like I'm the only one telling myself that I'm significant, because it's like, well, where's the evidence? Like if
Right.
nobody else. I'm a
Hmm.
scientist. I'm very evidence based. If I'm the only one telling
Ooh,
myself that, then like,
yeah.
it
Hmm.
feels like I don't have evidence that I'm significant.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the problem though, is we're looking at this backwards. We're saying I need the data to prove the thought. But what we've learned in the world is we have to believe the thought to feel the feeling to then show up in the way. Because I think about if you were feeling significant right now, I guess my question would be, how would you be showing up? What would you be doing? How would your life be different if you actually felt significant? Not thinking about feeling significant, that's different. I want you to like, and actually, a good way of looking at this is what would it take on his part? Like, what would have to happen that would make you feel significant? Like if we could change circumstances, if we could change the world, if we could force your ex to say something or show up a certain way, like what would make you feel significant?
Um, for him to tell me that that he loves me, that he misses me, that
Hmm.
losing me is an incredibly big loss for him, and that it's he doesn't, it's not that he wants to lose me, it's that he can't show up in the way I deserve. And
Can
I
we
don't
get a
know,
one in the chat? Can we get a one in the chat for all of us that want our exes to say that? I mean, come the fuck on, right? Hell yes, right? So let's go there. Let's say that your ex was like, oh my gosh, he calls you just now and he's like, I love you. I miss you. This was a huge loss for me. Absolutely devastated. You would feel significant. Why?
because he would have expressed how important I was to him.
Hmm. Yeah. And then tell me a little bit about how you would be showing up. What kind of behaviors might you be participating in? Who would you be? Like, tell me about the actions you would take or not take when you're feeling significant in this situation.
I don't know. It's hard to say because like I feel like I'm able to, I don't know, right? Like I mean, I guess I really resonated with your whole story about like, you were busy, you had all these things, right? And I'm similar, I'm trying to, wrap up a graduate degree program, up a skill, right? And then like, traveling and stuff. So it's like I have all of that. And thanks to your podcast, I've also sort of been able to not just try to lean on that but also like do the thought work and stuff. But
Yeah.
I think but that's the thing, yeah, especially as an extrovert, right? Like I really need those human connections. And so like I feel like the truth is I don't know if I would necessarily be showing up that differently, because part of it is also I'm tired of taking all the initiative. I want other people to reach out and take initiative and invite me and make me feel like I am worth the effort of like planning things and being included. So the problem is that I'm exhausted of always being the one to do that. And so I wouldn't, I don't know. I like, it's not like, oh, well, now I'll have the confidence, I'll do that, because I'm burnt out from doing that. I want other people to do that for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So when other people aren't doing that, are you feeling not important or how are you
Yes,
feeling?
yes,
Okay, so like unimportant. That's the right
yes,
word, right?
yes, yes,
Unimportant.
yes.
So then when you're feeling unimportant, how do you show up and what do you do?
Um, well, I I guess I just give up and stop trying and retreat into a bit of a shell and whatever the social department.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
like I don't know, I mean, and not to like I don't know, prematurely shoot you down or whatever, but it's because I've shown up that way and not had those efforts reciprocated that I don't feel inclined to be like, oh, let me pretend like other people actually care about me, and then like put myself out there only to then be burnt out again, and so that's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah, absolutely. So how long are we supposed to put ourselves out there before we give up and stop trying and retreat?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know. I'm also struggling with this in the context of dating and attraction too, because I've never deliberately dated, and so like that's a whole other it's a tangent. But I don't know.
Hmm.
I guess maybe twice. I don't know.
Twice? So I'm
Yeah.
what does that mean? Twice.
Oh, like in terms of like I don't know, with a given individual or group, like take initiative twice, and then like if I'm not, so if I have to be the one who keeps putting in the effort to make shit happen, then just like
Okay.
turn
So
elsewhere.
the how many groups or how many people should I do that with before I give up, stop, and retreat?
Mm, I don't know. I guess however many I can come up with at the moment. Like, I mean, it's just like, I guess, like, for instance, there's like some local friends that, or like acquaintances, I suppose, that I haven't caught up with in a while. And at least, like, with one of them, like, I don't think she's ever reached out to me to try to make something happen, but like, it's been a few months. So it's like, okay, I've had enough sort of space from it. And then there's another friend who, like, she bailed on us a few times and then she, like,
But
forgot that
that's you going back to relationships that didn't work. That's not you going to a relation like a new thing that you've never met before.
Yeah, but how do I do that?
Yeah, I mean there's plenty of
Yeah,
hows. Like
yeah,
there's
yeah,
so many
yeah,
hows I can't
yeah,
go
yeah.
over the hows with you.
No,
But I'm
I
sitting
know.
here like
But
that. But do you see what I'm getting at? Is like how long do we work towards something before we stop and give up? Like if what I'm really wanting to, because when you're talking about wanting to feel important, wanting to feel significant, I fucking get it. It is the hardest feeling in your body when you are feeling like the person who is most important to you no longer, you don't feel like you even fucking matter. And then if you
mhm,
don't matter to the person who is most important to you, do you even matter at all? That is the hardest place to be in life. That is so fucking hard. I get it. I am right there with you, and I'm giving you the biggest fucking hug, holding you. Okay. So trust me, when I'm saying this, it's all coming from love.
mhm.
But if you're a
No,
data person, girl, boo, I'm right there with you with data. But
yeah.
the data, I mean, if you're a data person, you also know you can swing data in whatever fucking way you want to.
But
I
that just
did,
feels like scientific dishonesty. Just
yeah,
being
it
delusional. Yeah, yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. But we're all delusional. You're either delusionally happy or delusionally miserable. Because we can find truth in any thought and we can find in truth in any thought. So, which
Yeah.
way do we want to go? And for me, it's less about what thoughts are true, what beliefs are true, and way more about what is going to help me get closer to what I actually want. And if I want to feel important and if I want to feel significant, believing that I'm not, believing that it's hopeless, believing that other people don't care about me isn't getting me closer to that.
Yeah.
The beliefs that are going to get me closer to feeling important, like I matter and that I'm significant, is believing I do fucking matter. This was a huge loss to my ex. I chose to believe that, not because my ex came back and told me that. I chose on purpose, deliberately, to be like, fuck, you fucking lost something. I know I wasn't perfect, but watch me. And I went on to like go build whatever I fucking wanted. And now, and again, we haven't spoken.
Yeah.
I know that he sees me. I know that you can't not look at my epic comeback. There is no way you can miss it, period. And that's what you get to create for yourself. But you're not going to create it from a place of telling yourself that people don't care about me. I'm sick of trying. I'm not worth it. I don't matter. And trust me, those feelings, I get the fact that they feel visceral. I I get it. I really do. It's a hard place to be in. But you can start with something small. The reason these other beliefs, you're like, they're not landing. They're too big. The step is too big. You're trying to jump across a huge ass fucking river. Yeah, and then you drop in the water and you're like, see, it didn't fucking work. Okay?
Yeah.
So what we need to do is we need to take it one step at a time, one stone at a time. And I can tell you, I have gone from I'm not important, I no longer matter. I was living in that to the opposite end. And the very first step for me was I am learning that I matter. I am learning that I am significant. I am learning that am important. I have a lot to learn. I don't fucking know what that means anymore. I don't have a lot of evidence to make it mean something. And the evidence that I do have, I'm totally disregarding and just like closing off to, and I'm poo-pooing it, right?
Yeah.
But at
Yeah.
some point, I just got sick of my bad attitude. And I was like, I'm done. I'm learning this because I'm not going to be dependent upon my person telling me whether or not I matter. I'm not going to be dependent on my business telling me that I matter, that I'm doing a good job. I just can't live that way. I can't live with my own bad attitude. So it's like, what if you just start with I'm learning? And that's something where each day you get to wake up and you get to explore that question. You get to explore in what ways am I learning this? How do I want to learn this? Who do I want to be while I'm learning what importance and mattering and significance means to me? How can I show myself? Literally, today is the most beautiful, amazing, incredible, powerful day to say, how do I show myself that I mean something to me, that I am insignificant, or that I am significant, that I am important, that I am making an impact, not only in my life, but other people's lives. Because I even think about that because you were talking about, I don't want to get off on a side note too deep right here, but I was thinking about how you're like, I want to know that like my loss was felt, right? And one of
Yes.
the best things you guys can do when you're going through heartbreak or when you're feeling shitty about yourself is go help somebody else. It fucking feels amazing to go make an impact in someone else's life. It could be a stranger. You could just be complimenting a stranger on like how great they look, how amazing they're seeming. It's going to do a hell of a difference because it also shows you I do make an impact. And that's going to be reciprocated. And that's where you start opening up this dynamic connection between other people. And I'm sure you already do some of that, but the energy you do it with is fucked because you're doing it with the energy of like, this isn't going to work. People don't like me. I've been working so hard at these relationships, and I want you to be like, people love flocking to me. My energy is magnetic. It's amazing. Again, these are too far. We're going to start with I'm learning I'm important,
Yeah.
but those are some of your next steps down the road.
Okay.
Does that
It's
make
just
sense?
hard without appreciation, though. Like if otherwise, because then it just feels like people are happy to take and then like not even appreciate in
But
return.
I think you're disregarding all of the ways that people do appreciate you too. Even if it's just one person a week. What you focus on grows. So if you're focusing on people not appreciating you, that's all we'll create. But if you can start focusing on what are the ways that other people appreciate me. I mean, there are 14 people on this call right now, 14 people who are watching. Do you appreciate sharing her journey? Put a 1 in the comments. So you've got 14 people appreciating you right now. 14 people who I think would be best fucking friends with you today. Okay? All right, boo. I love you.
Hey, thank you.
Yes, of course. If you're loving the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast and you want to learn how to get over your ex in 3 months or less to build a life better than the one you thought you had with your ex, I would like to personally invite you to my next group course where we take everything you've learned here on the podcast and apply it to your life. Come check it out at www.lifecoachdorothy.com.